So this is after I've had that, and I'm still in like fight mode off of the dehydration stuff. And so she's like, you know, your vocal cords are okay. You know, your sinuses look good. She's like, I really think it's just a pressure problem. It definitely may have something to do with the swallowing issue that I'm having going on. And she goes, but you seriously have one of the driest throats I've ever seen. You should really get better hydration. ENT. I have been having mostly ear and throat problems for a while now, but it was very kind of, oh man, my side hurts. Blah. Okay, ear and throat problems. It's been happening for months. It really has been kind of low on the priority list, but it's getting to the point that it's affecting me worse. My throat is sore all the time. Later on in the day, especially if I talk on the phone a heck of a lot during the day, I'm actually losing my voice like every day, and it gets raspy and it hurts to talk. It hurts to swallow, whatnot. So I told my primary what was going on, asked her to refer me to ENT. They referred me over there. I got in maybe in a week and a half. It wasn't bad at all. So the first thing I had to do was talk to the audiologist, and we did a hearing test. So it was a hearing test, plus we tested like the pressure in my ears, because they were thinking it was like a problem with the pressure on the, like in my middle ear. And so she looked at everything and she was like, you know, you don't have anything in your ear. She's like, it's probably one of the cleanest ears I've ever seen. I was like, well, thank you so much. And she said something that's interesting to note is she said, like, the ear canal to actually like get into your ear to like see your eardrums and whatever, she's like, it's probably one of the smallest I've ever seen. And they had to get out like pediatric equipment, and I was like, go team. And so she checked all the things. Pressure felt super weird. It actually, when it was going, like when the test was running for that part, it replicated the problem that I'm having. And it's like I hear myself when I talk, like it's an echo in my ear or ears. It's normally only one of them, praise the Lord. And then I said, and I can hear myself breathing. It's like being in like, it's like a Darth Vader helmet. So we did all that and then did a full hearing test and all sorts of different things. Like there were these like leads that were put on my ears for part of it, and then there was like headphones that were for part of it, and for part of it there's like background noise over here, and then they say a word in this ear and you have to repeat it. And there was a lot of repeating words, and then there was some like you had to push a button if you heard like the tone, which was fine. And I wish I could have seen the equipment like that was doing it. And it was like I had almost like a headset, like a work headset that only had like one ear, but it was put over my head and it stopped about right here. And then whatever I could actually hear through was put behind my ear. It was actually pretty fascinating. And so I did all the testing, whatever. The technician, the audiologist that was there, she was so nice. I really, really liked her. And she explained everything, you know, told me like why she was testing certain things, whatnot. So I got all done with her, and then I had to go across the floor to another waiting room, and then I waited. Oh, and I just want to say that it was like monsoon tornado season yesterday in Texas, and of course that is when I'm having to drive through Dallas and back home and all that. So I get over there, and I was early for my second appointment. The first one didn't take so long. And so I get over there, and they called me in immediately. They were trying to get patients like in and out because of the weather, because it was super scary. And so I go back in there, and I have a so it was new. I've never seen any of these, this subspecialty before. And so I saw, it wasn't a doctor, it was a PA. And so my actual ENT is going to be a PA, which I thought was super awesome. And she was Asian of some descent. I'm not certain exactly what she was, but she was super nice. She was very studious. Like, she was very focused on what we were doing, and she took meticulous notes and asked me lots of questions about what's going on. So I told her all the things, and told her that I don't know if there's something wrong with my vocal cords, and that's why I'm losing my voice so often. And I said it really feels like the ear stuff and the throat stuff is tied together, and I'm also having trouble swallowing lately, and I'm having trouble getting pills down, and there's certain liquids that I'm having trouble with. One of the random ones, like, I'll eat part of a pickle, and I don't know, spice, whatever, the sour, like, I'll swallow and it's not going the right direction. It's actually, I'm swallowing and it's going up. Like, I can actually feel it in my ears afterwards. I'm really having a lot of trouble swallowing lately. That's what she said. So, let's see. I'm trying to think, like, how she did all the testing. She did the normal stuff, you know, like, look in my mouth, look in my nose, look in my ears. She made the same comment on my ears being ridiculously tiny. So she had to get pediatric stuff out too. It's just good times. So she did all the looky-looing and whatever, and she looked at my sinuses, and she was like, your sinuses actually look really, really clear, which is great. She said, your ears don't look infected, which I knew that because they don't hurt like that. Like, I've had bazillion million ear infections, and I said it doesn't feel anything like that. And she's like, that's good. And she's like, have you ever had any surgeries in your ears? And I said, no. I said, you know, no tubes, no anything. And she was like, well, that's good too. She said, she was looking in my throat, and she was like, you know, I can see it, that it's red. I can see that it's irritated. And we were talking about some of my other stuff, like I have such bad reflux and GERD and all that good stuff. And then she was like, okay, she's like, I want to numb up your nose and your sinuses. And she's like, so I'm going to put Afrin in there, and then I'm going to put this, like, lidocaine something else mixture. And she's like, I want to numb it all up. And she's like, I want to stick a whatever scope down your nose, and she's like, to about right here in your throat. And she's like, I want to look at everything, and I want to be able to see your vocal cords, and I want to see you, like, talk and say some things, you know, and make sure everything is functional with your vocal cords. So we kept chit-chatting, and she did the Afrin and the it's like Novocaine, lidocaine. She said lidocaine. Super fascinating. I know I've had it before, but the stuff I had before was way crazier, because that was the stuff that I had to have for the manometry and pH study and all that, because that's like full tubes, like all the way down. And so she did that, and so we waited and we were chit-chatting about other stuff, and until I was totally numb. And it makes you feel like you can't breathe, because like you can't feel the sensation that you're breathing. It was crazy. And so she finally looked down this one, and she gets to the back, like I can feel it, but it really, like, it wasn't horrible, which was great. And she's looking at it, and she's making me say certain things, like answer her questions, and then I would have to do certain things like stick my tongue out, or put it here, put it there, and then she would tell me like certain sounds to make, like ee, like noises. And so she looked at all the things, whatever, and she finally pulled it out. Oh, and that stuff tasted nasty too. It was super gross. And she was like, okay. She was like, so I can alleviate your fears that anything is wrong with your vocal cords. She was like, your vocal cords are fine. No nodes, no lesions, no anything that we have to worry about, which was amazing, because I didn't want to have to worry about that. And then, and she goes, now hold on. Now this is after, like, this appointment is after I have had the horrible conversation with palliative care. So I'm going to put the, I'm going to tag the palliative care conversation up here. So this is after I've had that, and I'm still in like fight mode off of the dehydration stuff. And so she's like, you know, your vocal cords are okay. You know, your sinuses look good. She's like, I really think it's just a pressure problem. It definitely may have something to do with the swallowing issue that I'm having going on. And she goes, but you seriously have one of the driest throats I've ever seen. You should really get better hydration. I wanted to punch her in the face, but it was like all I did was laugh. And she was like, what? And I was like, you do not have time to hear all of that. And I said, I'm having a very hard time staying hydrated. And I said, I can't drink enough. I'm not getting enough IV fluids. I'm working with like 4 or 5 of my subspecialties to try to get something better in place. And I was like, it's a huge saga at this point. And she was like, well, something that you can do. And she was like, even if you can't swallow enough liquid, she's like, well, you can absolutely, she was like, you know, gargle with salt water and some of those kind of things. But with my swallower being so weird right now, like gargling is odd. Like it's just like, I don't know, it's like the muscles aren't working together. But it's not all the time. It comes and it goes. So tomorrow, which is Friday, I will be having a barium esophagram. So it's not just like, and sometimes I'm having trouble with liquid, but it's mostly stuff I'm having trouble with, like my medication, something like that. And so what I'm going to do tomorrow is, it's a pill, it's a barium pill that I'll be swallowing, and they'll be like, you know, taking x-ray video, whatever, while it's happening, so they can try to figure out where it's going wrong. So anyways, and so we were talking about all of that, and then she was like, there's another study that we could do. And I was like, what kind of study? And she was like, well, another swallow study. And I was like, well, I've had them before. I said, and I've had manometry, and I've had pH impedance. But all of that was a while ago. And she was like, well, because I was going to say the other component of all of this, with you having like trouble swallowing and an irritated esophagus, throat, ears, whatever. And she was like, it could be caused by your reflux as well. And I'd never even thought of it. I mean, I deal with the reflux all the time, and it's just like one of those things now. And so it kind of like dropped off my radar. And she was like, it really could have a component to do with that. And she's like, so I want to set you up with one other swallow study. And she's like, it would actually be with, like, it would be the radiology department that does it. But, more medication that I don't want to take. More medication that I don't want to take at the moment. God, my side hurts. So I lost my juju. It doesn't take much these days. So anyways, we're going to do a different barium study, and it is going to be with radiology, and a speech therapist is actually going to be there, which I thought was a little bit interesting. And so the study is done with different kinds of textures. Like, it's not just liquid barium, because a lot of people can swallow liquids, but they have issues with, you know, food, or they have issues with, you know, something that has more texture. And so they actually called me today to schedule that one, and it's in the 13th, I think, so a couple weeks away. So I should have the information off of the first esophagram. And I was thinking that my endoscopy is actually before that too. So anyways, a little bit more testing and whatnot. She recommended doing Flonase twice a day to just kind of open everything up, especially with the pressure in my ears. And she was like, you know, you're not having allergy symptoms and that kind of thing. But she said it definitely may help. And she was like, stick with it. You know, it takes a little while for it to like get in your system. She's like, so stick with it for a month, and then, you know, we'll have all of your stuff back and whatnot. And then we can kind of get back together and see if we need to adjust stuff. So I took the Flonase information and everything that happened at the appointment, and I actually filled in my allergy immunology, my new people with the MCAD problems. And so I told her and asked her opinion on the Flonase, because obviously this is way lower on the totem pole than all of the rashes and the allergic stuff that I've... so I'm waiting on an answer from her, but I can't do anything anyways because I still have the testing and prep work and stuff that I'm having to do for allergy and immunology. And I don't think I've talked about that one yet, so I'll cut another video and talk about what's going on over there. And she was really, really cool. Oh my gosh, one little tidbit. Never mind. I'll put it in another video. Okay, love you guys. See you later. Bye!